our awards and recognitions this evening. Dr. Lane.
All right, first off, thank you everyone for being here. This is one of our favorite nights of the year. We get to recognize all these amazing Brentwood students. I'd also like to congratulate our staff and all our students. Hopefully you saw the news that the state scores came out and Brentwood was number 1 in St. Louis County and number 9 out of 524 districts in the state. So congratulations. A lot of hard work from our kids, teachers, and staff behind those numbers. So let's go ahead and jump right in. First off, the early childhood. They didn't want to get the little kids out too late, so they sent in a little video we can start off with. Welcome Mrs. Easterbrook. Why don't we start off with Mark Twain Elementary.
Good evening board, parents, community. Thank you so much for having us here tonight to talk about some of our shining stars. This is one of my favorite nights of the year because we really get to highlight the leadership skills of some of our outstanding students. I have 4 students that have been nominated this year. I don't know that I've had the opportunity to see all of them this evening. So as I call your name, if you are here, please come on up and I will read through your nominations. Marwan Kabani. Marwan is one of our 4th grade students, and he starts every day with a smile and a positive attitude. Marwan has a passion for learning that spills enthusiasm enthusiasm and kindness throughout our classroom and our whole school community. He loves to learn, and his positivity is absolutely contagious. So number one, let's give it up for him anyway. Our next two students are some of our youngest leaders, and they are killing it. We've got Freya Sussman, and Freya comes to school eager to learn every single day. She is proactive, and she thinks before she acts. She asks great questions and helps others all the time. Freya has grown exponentially in all areas of academics since the beginning of this year. And Freya wants to grow up to be a track runner or a track runner on a race track. Coming your way in the high school there. Miss Freya, are we here this evening?
Oh, yeah.
All right, come on up. Our next shining leader is Maxwell Blunt. Max is one of our kindergartners who's an absolute pleasure to have in class and in school. He comes every day with a positive attitude. He gets along well with others and is always willing to lend a helping hand to his fellow classmates and his teachers. Max is very conscientious and is always doing the right thing. He has a love for writing stories, and he chooses to write during his free time in class. And these are some amazing little stories that I've already had the opportunity to read and share. He comes up with amazing stories with lots of details, and he loves to share them with our school. Overall, Max loves to learn, and he serves as a positive role model for all the other students in his class. Max, come on up. And last but not least, we have our second grade student, Kaylee Simmons. Kaylee is a self-starter and encourages others to do their personal best. She is always ready to learn and uses grit to power through very challenging content. Kaylee sees the best in others and shines bright individually and in a group. Her eagle spirit shines bright. Kaylee, are you here? Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much for coming to hear about our wonderful marching leaders.
All right, next up we have, one second. We have Mrs. Burnett for McGrath Elementary.
Hello, everyone. So the students at McGrath are being recognized for taking the initiative to create ideas that help support one or more of our core values, which improves the climate and culture of the building. The ideas of these individuals have created a level of momentum that has been backed by staff, and as a result, actions are being taken to help support students in putting their specific ideas into place. So if you all can give a round of applause to Claire Bronson. Claire took the initiative to write a letter requesting sponsorship for a leadership club that focused on beautifying the school. Peter Spall. Well, Peter was a fifth grader who worked with classmates to create and present a PowerPoint to me to introduce his idea of displaying a visual that would promote reading school-wide. And he got with the art teacher in order to create that, and so they are in the process of doing a human version of his creation. And then we have Aaron Kim and Aiden Tran. These two fourth grade students decided to create a trading card collection where students who displayed our core values would receive a card that would allow them to participate in a game they created. As they explained how some cards are more powerful than others, they laid out how a student who displayed core values more often would have a greater chance of receiving the more powerful cards. So they worked on illustrating the cards and collaborated with the art teacher to laminate them, and excitedly told me how someone has already won the game. So these are the students that we are recognizing today.
All right, Dr. Weiner, come on down to talk about our Brentwood Middle School students.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Doug Weiner, principal of the middle school, and at this time, I would like to simultaneously bring the four candidates, I should say candidates, I don't this is the option, of our four leaders forward: Luke Tongue, Spencer Nelson, Chandler Griffin, and Philip Mott. Come on up, please. Yeah, you guys just- Yeah, I went right about it. All right. So just to give you an idea, so these were, when we got nomination, when we asked people for feedback and names, these are four of our officers for our National Junior Honor Society. And it has gone, they have done exponential things this year. I wrote down a bunch of the stuff. So just to give you an idea, National Junior Honor Society is about academics, service, leadership, character, and citizenship. Those are the 5 pillars. And each one of these kids has done a great job. Listen to all the stuff that they've done just this year alone. So this is just in one semester. The Brentwood Days Parade, they sponsored that and really got it together. We got second prize in the Brentwood Days competition. The canned food drive, thanks to these leaders and the students underneath them, got the most ever, 981 cans. The Winter Carnival, which will take place tomorrow, thanks to their leadership, we're going to donate all the extra money to a program called Duo Dogs, which brings dogs to the classroom setting to sort of relieve stress and take care of management of stress. Trunk or Treat, both elementary schools for the first time participated in Trunk or Treat. They have a great program called the Pencil Topper, where they give these pencil topper things to the elementary students for community service. They did a holiday cheer greeting card event where they made residents of long-term care facilities, they made the cards for the holidays. A lot of people who unfortunately spend time alone or away from loved ones. And then lastly, Red Ribbon Week, healthy alternatives to drug and alcohol. They came up with a bunch of ideas on how to promote that with their peers. So I'm going to present all of them. Let's give them a big round of applause.
All right, let's bring up Dr. Steve Ayad. We have a special athletic presentation this evening.
All right, this one's an easy one to celebrate, but first, where's Freya? Freya, I want you to pay attention to this, okay? Kenzie, come on up here. You're not gonna be able to sit in the back while I say these things. Front and center. Tonight we get to celebrate a really special young lady, Kensington Kurd, who's done something that's never been done by a Brentwood cross-country athlete before. After finishing 4th at state last year as a freshman, this year she became the first cross-country state champion in school history by finishing first at the Mission Class 2 Cross Country Championship on Friday, November 3rd. Now, this was the culmination of a really special season. No. Really special season for this song. She won 5 cross-country meets during the 2023 season, including the conference championship, the district championship, the state championship. At a meet earlier in the season, she recorded the fastest time in Class 2 at St. Louis Fall Classic, just a little over 18 and a half minutes. I don't think I could drive. Kenzie's not just a cross-country runner either. She does track and field, basketball, soccer, even tried out volleyball as a freshman. She's a member of our BHS Student Council, robotics team. She volunteers with Girls on the Run. She's a straight A student with a 4.0 GPA. And I'm going to tell you something, her work ethic is unmatched. And if you want to understand that, stop by the Brentwood track sometime in the middle of July when nobody else wants to go out there and it's 100. She'll be out there working by herself, tirelessly. I look out my window and think, who in the world is that out there? That's Kenzie, she's working hard. Probably the most important thing, she plans to study veterinary medicine and compete in college athletics after high school. We absolutely know that Kenzie will succeed in whatever she decides to put her mind to in life. Let's put our hands together one more time and congratulate our newest. No, I'm not this tall.
All right, good preparation for Dr. Johnson to come on up.
Good evening, Board of Education, esteemed community members, parents, and students. Boy, that may feel good to be number one. Let's not let that one down too soon. We're not number 2, we're number 1. Give it up one more time. I stand here before you tonight with great pride and joy as we take a moment to recognize and celebrate the outstanding student leadership within our midst. BHS would like to acknowledge the incredible efforts of 5 remarkable senior students who have not only demonstrated academic excellence, but have also dedicated themselves to enhancing the high school experience overall. Tonight, we shine a spotlight on our student council members. President Amelia Spencer, you guys stayed, right? Amelia Spencer, who actually was recognized by the St. Louis County government, Department of Human Services in cooperation with Washington University, as an outstanding student leader in our region. We're also going to recognize our Vice President, William Shirley, who's got that wonderful Christmas sweater on. You outdid us on that. Okay. Our Secretary, Kevin O., and our 2 activities coordinators, Cora Erhan and Adrian Sabay. Under their leadership, our school has experienced a whirlwind of exciting events, each carefully coordinated to provide their fellow students with a memorable and enriching high school experience. From the warm and inviting back-to-school assembly and the lively, engaging clubs and activities fair, these students have been at the forefront of ensuring that everyone feels included and valued. Our homecoming festivities that they hosted were not just events, they were opportunities for our students to come together, forge lasting memories, and build a sense of unity that extends beyond the classroom. They also hosted, for the first time ever, a movie night that was not just about entertainment, but served as a testament to the thoughtful planning and execution led by these students who realized the importance of creating spaces for relaxation, enjoyment, and fostering a positive atmosphere within our school. Lastly, we must acknowledge their commitment to community service through the food and holiday drive efforts. These students have not only excelled academically, but also demonstrated a deep sense of compassion and responsibilities towards those who are less fortunate. Their volunteer efforts have undoubtedly made a positive impact in both our high school and our community at large. So tonight, we stand here in the presence of these outstanding leaders, and I want us to express our deepest gratitude for their countless hours of service. They have not only enriched the lives of their peers, but they have set an inspiring example for the entire community. Please join me in celebrating these 5 students as I call them forward, and please save the applause until we get them up front, please. Okay, we want to recognize and thank and appreciate them for their outstanding student leadership, for their dedication, leadership, and unwavering commitment to making Brentwood High School experience truly exceptional for all of us. When I call your name, please come forward. Kevin O. You guys are great. Remember that. Adrienne Sabay. Will Sherry. Amelia Spencer. And last but certainly not least, Cora Erhan. All right. And now for the exciting part where, of course, everything we do is about preparing kids for the post-secondary pursuit. So we have 5 seniors here in our midst. And I'm going to have them start with Adrian and work all the way down to Corey. If you could please say what your plans are. Are you graduating from Brentwood High School?
Hello everybody, I'm Adrian Sabay, and after high school I'll be going to Washington University in St. Louis's Olin Business School, study supply chain operations and technology. Hope to become like a supply chain analyst one day.
I'm Kevin L., and I also got into WashU, where instead of business, I'll be studying mathematics.
I'm Will Shearing, and I will be studying high school secondary education with a specialty in mathematics at Undecided University.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Spencer, and I will also be attending Washington University in St. Louis to study mathematics. Hi, I'm Cora Arbrun, and I am currently waiting on a decision for a gap year abroad in Germany. But after that, I plan to continue into an undecided college and study international affairs or public relations.
All right, let's have one more round of applause for all these wonderful people. Now, that's going to be hard to follow, but just so you know, before you leave, we do have an audit tonight and insurance and 7 policies to go over. So, obviously joking, have a wonderful holiday. Thank you all for being here, and we hope to see you again soon.
Yes, you do. I think I got one of the last few.
Yeah, I had to park behind like a U-Haul. I got here.
All right, let's go ahead and keep it going. Matt, you want to get us with our
We have public comments.
good catch?
Okay.
Roll call.
And we'll do a roll call.
Here.
Ryan Dodson.
Here.
Ryan Flynn.
Here.
Keith Ravenberg.
Here.
Keith Slaughter. Lindsey Spencer.
Here.
Carrie Johnson.
Here.
Okay, and if I could have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as outlined.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, superintendent's report.
Great. We're going to start with our audit report.
I think that I can get there with this. I don't know if I want to make all the noise moving the mic. My name is Matt Norton, I'm Chief Financial Officer with Brentwood Public School District. Each year we have an independent audit that's performed through a competitive request for proposal program, request for proposal. Daniel Jones and Associates has been selected as our independent audit firm for this year for completion of the school year ending June 30th, 2023. We have Mr. Desi Kirchhoffer is here to present our audit report, which is their document. At the end, we're going to ask for an approval or if there's any kind of questions. But I am going to ask Mr. Kirchhoffer to speak on behalf of his firm and any kind of recommendations as a result of the report. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I would just like to begin by saying thank you to the district for allowing Daniel Jones and Associates to perform your guys' audit. The district is always a pleasure to work with, and the staff is hardworking, and we appreciate all the help provided by Matt throughout the whole audit process. Throughout the audit, we issue a couple of opinions. The first opinion is on the district's financial statements, in which we issued an unmodified opinion. This just means it was a clean audit and there were no issues, and that is the best opinion that a district can receive and that we can issue. The second opinion we issue is in regards to the district's compliance with requirements of Missouri laws and regulations regarding budgetary procedures, disbursement procedures, accurate disclosure by the district's records of attendance, and other requirements as listed on the schedule of selected statistics. We found the district to be in compliance with the state requirements relating to the attendance and these budgetary procedures. Because the district did not expend more than $750,000 in federal awards, they were not subject to a single audit. The district did not have any financial statement findings to report for the year ended June 30th, 2023. Along with the audit report, you should have received a copy of a management letter. The management letter just consists of standard verbiage that we are required to communicate to the district. In closing, I would just like to congratulate the school district on having an excellent audit and to thank the board for giving Daniel Jones and Associates this opportunity. And we can give you guys one more round of applause. We'll open to any questions as well.
If I could have a motion to approve the audit report.
I move that we approve the audit report as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Any questions? No? It looks great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is approved. Thank you.
All right, keep on going, Matt. You got insurance.
Just one comment for the audit. I know that's a really quick presentation. This process we start this in August. We finished this process about 2 weeks ago. So the document that you guys received was as fast as we were able to get our hands on it. So we do work pretty thoroughly with that process. I don't know if you guys have any questions, we can always discuss that or go through it after the fact. But I appreciate the opportunity to get some face time and all the hard work that our staff put into preparing for
Much appreciated.
Now on to insurance. Each year we have our insurance that is presented for adoption by the school board. We receive insurance for general liability and workers' comp insurance through a consortium of schools. The consortium consists of over 100 school districts that are pooled assets. This year, the insurance premiums did go up significantly by greater than 30%. I want to draw attention to this because in our memo, you'll notice that we're no longer eligible for the credit. What this has to do with the increase and the lack of the credit is when the municipal pool has a really significant year of, they've received their collections and they didn't have a huge amount of loss, they return those funds back to their members. Whenever they have a difficult year, like last year during the freezes, they don't have those dollars available to return back. So a portion of $23,000 of our increase is due to the amount that we are not eligible to receive as a credit. So no other schools in the state that are part of this pool receive that credit as well. We still have a very healthy loss ratio for our workers' comp insurance, so we have very competitive rates, still less than 1. Most of our increase is due to the increase of the pool as a whole. We also are insuring 3 elementaries currently because we're unable to uninsure Mark Twain as it's under construction at the current time. At the beginning of next year, we will be able to turn off McGrath, the old McGrath building, once we do its demolition. And we'll also be uninsuring this building next year. We're in possession of this building in January, so as such, we have to include that in this assessment for this period of time.
Yeah, that third building, Matt made several calls on our behalf to see if there's any way that we, didn't have to insure that, but ultimately, it was recommended that we needed to, with the amount of workers and so forth in that space, so.
Because the building's not actually being built, we're not able to consider builder's risk.
So this is tied to calendar year, correct, not our fiscal year?
Yes.
And then in this, just a point of clarification, it should be 2024, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, and if I could get a motion to approve the music.
I move that we approve accepting the music bid.
Second.
All right, discussion.
So it states in here the increase is our first in nearly 20 years, and this was due to a rise in property claims over the past year. I didn't see in here how many claims were made, and is that?
This is not our claims.
It's not, okay,
No.
but that is the claims of the overall,
These
the pool,
are
right?
the aggregate claims that are associated with the lost pool as a whole.
Right.
So for instance, there was one school district that had one running water that ran all weekend.
Mhm.
It flooded their building due to busted pipes. They actually found out about it because a passerby called their central office. That building was flooded for 72 hours. As such, that was a total gut abatement and renovation, and the entire lost pool had to sustain that risk. So typically, our direct increases or changes are due to our workers' comp loss ratio,
Right.
whereas our general liability is typically due to the plan as a whole. So we only had one significant event last year, which we did have some HVAC units in our drama program that had water damage. That loss is not included in this because we're still working with the insurance for replacements of those units. So this is directly related to losses that occurred during December of last year to other school districts that are members of this program.
I see. And this is just more for knowledge and maybe for everybody else that may not understand. Can different school districts come into that program and leave that program, or is it
Yes.
kind of set and?
No, you're correct. So if you leave the program, you have to stay out of the program for 5 years. So if we were to sustain the increases, so for our last 5 years, we've had relatively stable increases, very reasonable increases in our costs. We've had significant credits and returns, so discounts in our rates. If we were to go out to the open market, which we would need to do next year, we would not be eligible to return back to the program for 5 years. So members aren't permitted to only take the good years and try to move away from the negative impact. But there are members that join, so larger school districts, actually just school districts as a whole, have been continuing to join the program. I know that there's a very large school district that joined the program last year. So joining is continuously happening. The open market for insurance rates, because I did have this conversation with one of the board members of music, my conversation was, what if we go to the open market? We get our own, we want to see what it costs to get it on our own. One is the plan that we have isn't readily available, and the cost associated with the most recent storms that have happened over the last year have made costs very cost prohibitive. So not only would we share the costs as a portion of Missouri, we would share the costs as a proportion of flooding in Florida or storm damages that are happening throughout the United States.
We had shopped this around probably 4 or 5 years ago and came up with exactly that it's, I mean, you're gonna, in a bad year, you're gonna, take the hit that the pool hits.
Right.
The challenge was to go to the open market, you would get in a broader pool. The offering was not as good, and it's exactly as is described. You're then susceptible, it's more national. You're then susceptible to stuff in California, Florida, et cetera.
So within this pool, just from a risk standpoint, let's say we do have whatever claim, or somebody else, everything flooded and they had a claim. Can they kick that district out of the pool, or are you, once you're in, you're in?
So I would have to ask that specific question. My understanding is that your general liability coverage does not typically change based on one loss. But if you have significant numbers of claims, then your individual district's plan can be modified accordingly.
Yeah, I would just ask to maybe if we could dive into that,
Sure.
just from a risk standpoint. I'm not saying that it would happen, but if something like that does happen, where we do have to make a claim, is there a threshold where they would require us to go to the open market or kick us out of that pool, put us in a different pool?
So that specific scenario, like if we had a catastrophic damage, so one, they have stop loss coverages, so they have excess coverages, so whatever is in their reserves, they still have a threshold that would cover an individual loss.
Yeah, I guess I'm not concerned about the losses per se. I mean, that is definitely important. It's how do you continue to maintain coverage post that event? Because that is really where the insurance companies kind of control the pool and who's in that pool. So just having some of that clarity on that back end side to make sure that we are protected.
So I can ask them to provide a comment or a response to that specific question.
That'd be great. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Matt?
The difference in property and equipment, was that mostly the addition of the new McGrath?
So part of that is new McGrath, but also part of that is there's a general index that's applied each year.
Okay. And do you have a listing what's covered by the cyber liability?
Excuse me?
The cyber liability, is that something I can get from you?
We can get a specific copy of that for distribution. Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at that.
Cyber liability policies have caps that are, due to some of the times we know what the cost of these restructurings are, it's difficult to find policies that are maybe of a significant magnitude.
All right, anything else for Matt? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's approved.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Matt. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. All right, Dr. Tripphammer, I'll get the last 3 over there. You got the clicker, Alex?
I do. Even better. Good evening, guys. Thanks for letting me visit with you this evening and talk about what I think is a pretty good story about the district's APR score for 2023. And before we dive into it, this is similar to a presentation that I provided to the board last year. Starts with just an overview of what MSIP 6 is all about. MSIP 6 is the current, it's the current kind of iteration of school improvement across the state of Missouri that started, gosh, in like 1990 or something like that. But there's a quote from Dr. Van Dieven that really kind of sums it up. And really, MSIP 6 is designed to distinguish the performance of schools and LEAs, local education agencies, in meaningful ways to help identify areas in need of support and recognize models of excellence. So that's why we have this system in place, is so that DESE and the state can evaluate every school district and charter school within the state of Missouri. So talked a little bit about this last year. MSIP 6 is a new accountability system with different scoring from previous iterations. So DESE's made it real clear that you really can't compare any APR scores from 2022 or older than that. So really 2022 and moving forward is really what you can kind of compare them to. So I'll talk a little bit about this later on, but the initial classification will actually take place in 2024. They need 3 years of data to kind of come up with a complete classification scale. Again, I'll refer to that here in just a little bit. If you have a burning desire, DESE has an FAQ page that you can kind of learn a little bit more about the MSIP 6 process. So, as I mentioned, the classification needs 3 full years of data to then begin the classification process. So what that really means is, for the last 2 years, school districts will not be penalized because of lower APR performance. So that kind of gives us a little bit of a breather, if you will. It'll be actually the data that's accrued this school year that will go into the initial classification next year. So right now I circled, we're in the winter of 2023. That means right now we are just getting our 22-23 assessment data in APR, which is what I'm about to share with you right now. And so next fall, we anticipate that DESE will be giving us, giving all districts their classification under MSIP 6. So the way the APR, or the annual performance report, is scored, there's 2 main components. One is the performance side, and that's the bigger slice of that entire pie at 70%. And then the other 30% is items under what they would consider continuous improvement. And we'll break those down just a little bit further. So on the performance side, we're looking at how well our kids did on MAP and EOC. And then we're also looking, this is a new component to MSIP 6, we're also looking to see how well kids are growing. I think I talked about this last year. It's very similar to how we talk about NWEA. Yeah, we want to see how kids are performing, but we also, over time, want to see how well they grow. And the state can kind of run their statistics to measure that growth metric. There's success-ready skills in there, graduation rate, and the graduation follow-up that is also included in the 70% of performance. On the 30%, on the continuous improvement side, what they want to make sure is that we are continuing to do the appropriate planning, so that means the CSIP. A lot of us are right now in the throes of strategic planning. That will kind of be the next iteration that we will submit to DESE. We have to respond to standards. Actually, that one will go into effect next year. For the last 2 years, we've been required to provide a climate and culture survey, so we'll be on tap to do that this spring as well. So here's what it comes down to, and this is what you may have seen in the newspaper here recently. So the top section is the 2023 data, and just for comparison's sake, I put 2022 in there as well. We actually, we actually increased our overall performance by 2 percentage points, technically 2.1 percentage points. So what that really means is, again, if we look at the 2 criteria, performance and continuous improvement, you can see kind of how we earned the percentage of points. So for performance, we earned 91.1% of our points. On the continuous improvement, we got 98. When you throw that all into the mix, it's a 93.1% of the total points earned, which actually places us in the top 2% of districts statewide. We were actually looking at a spreadsheet of all school districts and charter schools. We're actually tied, if you will, for 9th out of all districts in charter schools in the state of Missouri. So that's a pretty awesome accomplishment. We can dig into this just a little bit further. I didn't highlight the top section. That's our academic achievement, just our overall status. That's, again, in simple terms, how well do our kids perform on MAP and EOC. We got all of our points on that side. I tried to highlight, it's not the best job, but I tried to highlight the growth metrics that the state uses. And really what it comes down to is that's where we probably lost a few of those percentage points, is that we did not make the gains that the state would want us to. But all in all, if you look at the very final column, it'll tell you kind of, in using layman's terms, how did you do on that? So target means you met the target at 100%. Above average means you're kind of getting towards that target. Average means exactly what it means. That's it means you performed on average on terms of the scale that DESE is looking for. But you'll also notice that average does not give you all of the points that you would want for growth. So it's pretty high bar. One thing that I would say, we talk about this with NWEA a lot, we're not making excuses, but when you look at the top part of that chart, what that would indicate is that our kids are performing very well. And what we know in NWEA, and I think it's akin to MAP and EOC, when kids score at higher levels, it's harder to show growth. And statistically, there's just less room to show growth. So it's not an excuse. We want all kids to grow. We want all kids to demonstrate growth. And that's kind of what our mission is. You can see the other factors that are included there on the performance side. But really, the bulk of where we get our performance points is how well we do on achievement and how well do we account for student growth. On the 30% of continuous improvement, we met the marks everywhere. The one part we came up a little short was on attendance, specifically at our middle and high school. There was in MSIP 5, there was a metric that we used that we wanted all kids to be, DESE was looking for all kids to be 90% of the kids at school 90% of the time. And so we're still kind of in that same kind of thinking. They've loosened some of those parameters up, but we missed the mark a little bit, which is not uncommon for high school students. But at least it gives us something that we can kind of focus on moving forward. But everything else, we met all the points in terms of we started a kindergarten entry assessment. Our Emily Diaz ensures that every child has an ICAP. We're sending kids to South County Tech for our CT expansion. Matt's done an awesome job with the audit that you just heard. He also presents the ASBR annually, and Sue Roy makes sure we get all of our data into DESE on time. So it's a team effort, and Dr. Lane did an excellent job today and yesterday of acknowledging that it's really the teachers and the staff that work with our kids and do the work. And he was pretty clear about that yesterday in celebrating this. It really is about our staff that does the work with the kids. And there's some miscellaneous pieces that really don't account. I mean, they're DESE expectations. We have to have at least 95% of our kids participating in MAP and EOC. We need to make sure that we have the fund balances that the audit spoke to. Dr. Lane's appropriately certified. You've all gone through training, and we are compliant with federal and state laws. So those are just little check boxes that DESE wants to make sure are happening. That's a really high-level overview of the APR, but it kind of gives you an idea of how DESE scored our district this year. So if you have any questions that I can try to answer.
So what do we do about attendance at the high school level?
Well, that's something that we'll have to go back to Dr. Johnson and Dr. Ayon on, and whether it's incentivizing kids to attend more. We'd have to dig into the reasons why students were absent. Really what we scored in would be in that 85% overall attendance. So, DESE would like us to get to 90, so we were just a little bit shy of that mark. So I think it's just sitting down with the leadership in the building and trying to figure out who was absent, why were they absent, and what strategies can we do to encourage kids to come in the front door. It's one that I think, talking to my colleagues, not that it's an excuse, but a lot of schools are struggling with this attendance piece. And there's been, honestly, really since COVID, there's been a big emphasis on if a kiddo needs a mental break, then maybe that's okay too. So, you know, but then again, kids can't learn if they're not in school. So it's this really difficult tension that we have. Like, we want kids to come to school, but we also want them to be okay mentally, right? So it's,
I haven't expressed many concerns with it, but I will tell you there's been a lot of superintendent discussion around the idea that in terms of the APR scores, that attendance isn't a great fit in terms of, you know, our focus on wellness, stay home when you're ill. We're not supposed to recognize perfect attendance, some of those things. So I wouldn't be surprised if attendance goes away in a iteration down the road.
How often do they look at this? Because I know there's talk around NWEA and MAP, right? So I'm assuming most of these scores are MAP. As you
these
said.
are MAP and EOC.
But my point, how often does this get reviewed, right? Is it?
It depends. Typically, I mean, it's been on a cycle of, I'd say, about every 4 years. I mean, they're already talking about MSIP 7 right now, and we're having conversations about tools like NWEA and so forth, so.
I do think attendance is important. The one thing I think that is a miscommunication among parents is, so there's an advisory, because I ran across it. So I would make doctor's appointments during advisory, because I thought advisory isn't a major core class.
But they're still more, yeah.
But you get marked absent in advisory. So I was not aware of that, and that can cause children to not be considered for particular awards, for particular merits, things like that. So it could be even in education, because you get that letter and you're like, what do you mean? Like, you know, so you don't know. But I think attendance, I got perfect attendance during high school. I thought that was a huge thing, and I think every kid wants to achieve something, and to me, I was not a very good academic achiever, but that was huge for me. And to be able to be awarded and to be recognized, let me tell you, there were not very many people who had perfect attendance in high school. So I don't know, I mean, like you said, looking at some incentives, you know, something that may not incentivize one kid could really incentivize some other kid.
Sure.
So, I don't know, just something.
I just want to say thank you for the presentation, and we have a couple teachers here. Thank you for everything you've done. I mean, yeah, this is really exciting news for Brentwood. We appreciate it.
And the other thing is when we communicate this out, I was with a group of people last night, and they thought APR was just totally about our AP classes. They had no idea what APR was. So we need to like make sure it's pre-K through, or to let our pre-K parents know, you know, so that they know what we're doing as a district, you know, K through 12, because I don't think sometimes they understand what APR is.
That's a good point.
It'd be pretty cool if we was in the top 2 in the state in AP class.
That depends on your perspective.
All right, let's keep the excitement going. We got a new course to talk about.
December is usually the time if we are suggesting new courses that we bring them to the board so that they can go into the high school course guidebook. Next month. So here's what we have going. Met with high school leadership and one of the teachers in the math department. We have been kicking around this idea for a number of years of trying to build out a strand in PLTW from start to finish. And the one that we've kind of landed on is computer science, and at least for right now. And so there are other strands that I know some of our teachers have expressed interest in, for instance, the whole biomedical wing of that. I think that's for a future discussion, but just to kind of start something, we looked at offering the strand of computer science in PLTW. And it's hard to argue in this day and age, and especially when we start talking about artificial intelligence and everything else, having our kiddos, giving our kiddos a chance to go through 4 years of PLTW coursework in computer science, I don't think it's a bad thing. So to get the sequence started, The first course is called Computer Science Essentials, and that's what the proposal is in front of you. And we've offered a coding class, which is a great class. It's a half semester, but this is more in depth. This is more like the intro to computer science and actual programming. You can see the different elements that are included in this class. It's all provided. The curriculum is provided by PLTW and it's vetted by kind of a long-standing group of professionals that organize this curriculum. But it really takes computer science to a whole nother level. And like I said, this is the first class. They sequence these courses out over 4 years. And I think that would be, because we're so small, we can't just dump all 4 classes into our course guidebook. We have to kind of we have to build that capacity up. We certainly have the capacity next year to add the first course with the teacher that I just mentioned. She is able and willing to get trained. As you probably know, PLTW requires special certification, so she's willing to get trained to teach the course. And the hope then would be to add the second course the following year and so forth. And there's even ways, as small as we are, you can actually combine some of these courses to kind of condense, because our schedule sometimes needs to be condensed. We can actually teach 2 courses at one time in one block, so that's kind of beneficial. But at any rate, I'm rambling on. I think it's a good step in the right direction. Computer science is kind of a hot button issue with a lot of our students, and I think it's going to be. We've always traditionally had a ton of kids that want to take coding. Now we're providing them another option. Not to mention DESE now requires that we offer. It's a requirement that we at least offer some type of computer science. So now we have coding and we have PLTW computer essentials. So that's the proposal in front of you.
I move that we approve adding the PLTW Computer Science Essentials course to the course load.
Second.
Discussion?
So one of the reasons we're doing this is because now DESE is requiring it.
DESE's required this for the last couple of years. We've had coding, which suffices, but I think all I'm saying is that this really ensures that we're providing computer science, I think in the intent that DESE would prefer. It's not even DESE, it's a state statute that we have to offer computer science.
But we were meeting it before. That's not what drove
No.
That's not what drove this move. We just think this is a great program for our kids.
And one of the reasons I was asking that is to segue into, I think it's great, every time you added another course, I think it's great. It's meeting maybe other kids, that are interested in things like this. But I'll say again, like I said before, many times, I hope that we continue to survey our students as well, so that as we are looking at subjects or courses, that we're making sure, because it says right here, if enrollment and scheduling, if we get kids interested in it. So we want to make sure that we're also looking at courses as we're looking at the different, like social studies or math or whatever the next sequence is, and surveying them and finding out what it is that interests them, because that's going to help the enrollment in the courses.
So Alex, would the plan be that, to Carrie's point, if the class makes with enough numbers, then the timing is that she would be able to get certified in time to offer this for next school year, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
We're in a holding pattern until this meeting, and then if this gets the thumbs up, then there's training this spring that she's willing to attend.
Perfect.
And how soon will we tell the kids about this and promote it, and then tell them about what could be the next class and the next class and next class?
That's a good question. Well, we have to get formal approval, and then it goes into the January, it's usually January, is when the course guidebook comes out. And we lean on our teachers and our counselors to say, hey, we're now offering the first section of a 4-year PLTW strand. It's kind of a word on the street. We have to promote it from within.
And once the teacher gets a certification, is that just going to hold true for this particular class, or will it be the entire? So
it's kind of
how do we set ourselves up for long-term success and continuity? Because computer science, I minored in that, and it's one of those classes where if you don't continue to take it, you kind of lose some of that, just like a foreign language. So that's my only.
No, so it's a good question. We actually applied for a grant that, haven't heard it back, but if the grant comes through, that will fund her training for all 4 classes.
Oh, okay.
PLTW requires training for a teacher to teach any of their given courses. And then, like I said, the grants, I'm hoping we get that will cover the training. The other costs are, we have computers already on site. I asked Sean Parker, do they have enough horsepower? He goes, oh gosh, yes. He looked at the specs that are required, and we're gonna be just fine. The capital outlay is the teacher's time and energy and training cost.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Any more questions for Dr. Turner?
I think this is a great addition. I've taken computer science classes at the lower levels, at the college level, and having something that introduces you in high school before it will definitely be beneficial for those kids interested.
I suppose I should have mentioned this. I don't think I've listed it here, but the capstone class isn't, Keith was just talking about AP. The capstone class is a computer science AP course. So, I mean, it's, in my opinion, that's a pretty high level of computer science that we're asking kids to go through if they choose to go through all 4 years.
Great.
And this would be open to 9th through 12th graders?
Yeah, so it's interesting, yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, these would have been on, the books forever, and you start in 9th grade, but we're gonna just stair step it. Whoever would like to get involved with this, we're not gonna say no if you're a sophomore,
Yep.
junior, or senior. We want all kids to participate in this.
Yeah, I like that. All right. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's approved. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that was.
Okay. All right, that moves us into our Board of Education report, and we have several policies that we went over during our policy meeting. So if I could get a motion to approve those, and then we can discuss any.
I move that we approve the policies outlined.
Second.
All right, discussion.
One quick question, and you can always get back to me because I just didn't have a chance to email you, Brian. Did we ever see how many detentions we give versus suspensions?
I don't have that number.
Okay. The
I'll
only
find it
thing
out
I'd
for you.
want to reiterate is I read over it again, and I just want to encourage us to make sure it always says first offense would be detention or in-school suspension or up to 1 to 180 days. I would like to support that we try our best to do detention and work our way up to those and not jump from the first offense to an in-school or out-of-school suspension.
That's fair.
So that's the only thing, because I don't like the or, but
Yeah,
I'm just
understood.
voicing.
All right, I just wanted to point out that there were revisions that we had discussed in our policy meeting for J, F, and G that were in there, just so you saw those. Any other questions or conversation around these policies? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those policies are approved as stated. Anything, Keith, for MSBA delegate report?
There's not much going on, other than the legislative session will be starting fairly soon. You'll start getting messages from MSBA, I assume, about different things. I try to pay attention and try to understand what's going on, but, so anyway, depending on how interested you are, pay attention.
Thank you. All right, Ryan, anything from Special School District?
Yeah, just one thing that's just recently occurred. They appointed a new special school district superintendent, Dr. Michael Macklin, and he is going to be starting effective January 1st. He was the assistant superintendent, so it was a unanimous vote, and he starts on the 1st. So that's all I got.
Great, thank you. And any board committee updates?
Communication, or our curriculum met, and we had some parents come and make some suggestions. So we have hopefully some exciting things in our school district's future. I think it went really well, like some very good information, and our parents are continuing to learn more about South Tech and just different things. So I think it's been very, to me, beneficial to have parents on those committees who are in maybe elementary school or middle school and just learn as our kids are, you know, getting closer to our high school level, what we offer, and be able to go out and tell other people what we're offering, so.
Great.
From a communications standpoint, this next year, Tony's gonna be working with the city of Brentwood to see how we can partner better together in some of our communications efforts. I think that will really go over well. We, you know, can see with Kenzie that she was, you know, nominated and awarded at the city of Brentwood and now here, so I think there's some really great synergies there, and I really appreciate Tony taking the lead on that. The online spirit store is still currently under construction, but Tony gave me a sneak peek of it, and it looks really good at this point, so hopefully that'll be rolled out here potentially in the new year. And yep, just keep on checking the social media channels. I think we're too shy of 1,000 followers, so keep spreading the good word.
What happens when we hit 1,000?
We
Party.
cheer, yeah. We celebrate our success.
Cash starts coming in?
Yeah,
No,
that's
that's
right.
$1 million, I
Yeah,
think.
that's right, yeah. One step.
All right, for finance and facilities, we did meet just to look and see where we are on the Mark Twain project. And I live close by, so I get to drive by every day, and there's progress every day there, which is great. Some brick going on the outside. The roof is coming up on the new addition. And then we discussed McGrath Phase 2 and where we are with that as well. So
But no delays, I mean, we are scheduled as it was forecasted, so.
My neighbor across the street told me the other day that he was, to his recollection, he was in the first kindergarten at McGrath and was the first of the age group that went entirely through McGrath, so.
Oh, wow.
You know, I expect him to show up and protest us tearing it down.
We can give him a tour, one last tour.
So we're hoping to do it like the old arena where it's
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Boom.
We're gonna do that.
They do that a lot of times when they take stuff down, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Then we've got Missouri Ethics Commission dates here. Just make sure you fill out your paperwork when it arrives to your home. And then important upcoming dates, the school board candidate filing closes on Tuesday, December 26th. And we have a policy meeting scheduled right now for January 2nd. And our business meeting's been moved up to January 9th. The strategic planning steering committee meeting has been canceled on the 12th.
That hadn't quite been confirmed. She said she thought so.
Yes, so it's confirmed. And then we have the superintendent search, many meetings in January, towards the end of January for us.
I mean, we can talk further, Lindsay, but it seems likely we're gonna cancel that board policy. I mean, that's gonna sneak up quick over the
Yeah.
break here. And currently, we don't have any policies sitting out there, do we?
We have a couple that you're still gonna get back to us for some information.
I've got those answers for you.
Okay. And then have we had any candidates register yet for school board? And we have, what, 3 openings, is that correct?
2.
2. Okay.
Okay, if I could get a motion to adjourn to closed session.
I move that we adjourn and move into closed session for the reasons stated in the agenda.
Second?
All right, if you could have a roll call, please.
Jamie Allen?
Yes.
Brian Dodson?
Yes.
Brian Flynn?
Yep.
Peter Drakenberg?
Yes.
Keith Slauson? Lindsey Spencer?
Yes,
Barry Cox?
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks for coming.
Happy holidays.
Thanks, guys.
Happy New Year.